So I just found out that I have been paying the utility bill for my entire apartment building since December 2021.
See, if I was paying everyone's utility bill and they was charging me that, I'm suing. But let's see more.
I've been paying for everyone's heating, laundry, lights for 2 fucking years? And I called them when it was expensive to be like, this seems really expensive. And they were like, that's just how much it is. And finally, we figured it out because my freaking ex, who moved out, never canceled their service, even though I asked them to like 10 million times.
Not gonna lie, happy she figured out what it was, but that is just wild prices. Like, I don't know who and what government is allowed to charge you that much money, but just be careful, man.
$2,000 a month, and my rent is $1,660.
Sadly, this is getting to be the story of pretty much everybody out there. I haven't rented since I was in my 20s, so I've been out of the housing market forever on this shit. But I tried to help my niece get a place about 6-8 months ago, something like that. And she was telling me everything she found was $1,900, $2,300, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, sweetheart, you just let me look for you. There's something out there, $500-600 a month that's decent. I'll find it. There's not. Like, how? I mean, why? Why did we get to this point? Why is just a decent place to sleep and cook and survive exist? Why is it $3,000, $4,000 a fucking month? I mean, it's ridiculous. Something's got to change. Otherwise, we're going to end up with half the country homeless.
See, after watching that just tells you he's trying to help his daughter and everything, and he can't even find something simple for him. And he's like, man, this used to cost not even half the price of that. Nowadays, everything's double or tripled. It's like, how the heck do we live in a environment that we can't even afford? It's crazy.
Apartment.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had any 2 bedrooms available.
Yes, ma'am. We have some ready for move-in as early as Monday.
Alright, and how much do those go for?
$1,525 to $1,875.
How does it go from $1,500 to $1,800?
Depending on the phase that you apply for.
Okay, so like the older ones and the newer ones.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Alright, thank you. Well, now I know that it's raised for everyone, but that's ridiculous. That is way too much. And they're just raising the prices around here to get as much basic housing allowance from the military as possible, because we're right outside the base, and it only used to be $1,300 here. So why is it different now? People with money need more money, I guess. I guess that's what life is now. So I'm going to be looking for a new apartment soon. I'm already picking places where I want to live, and I'm going to have to get a different job. I'm going to have to uproot and just go because it's too expensive here. And that's my plan.
See, she's smart. She called on the phone and she got strategies where she using words where they can't really hide it because they don't expect what she's asking. And she's making sure she's safe. So follow those tips, man, if you want to make sure you're good on housing. And don't forget to like and subscribe so we can go up in the algorithm. Thanks for watching.
My coworker saw my bank account the other day and it said $25. And we don't get paid for another 2 weeks. And he was like, how are you surviving? How do you even live off $25? I'll tell you if you really want to know how I budget and save. I sleep. Literally, you have to have no obligations. Just sleep. Because if you're sleeping, you can't be spending money. Period.
Not gonna lie, she is not lying. Literally, you got to sleep just to get through things. If you're not sleeping and you doing a lot of energy, your body's going to need to consume to replenish that energy. So if you can't even afford that, sleep is your best friend. But too much sleep can be your worst enemy. So be careful with that, man.
This is why I feel like the cost of living has never been as bad as it is right now. Because it used to be when the cost of living was high, it was for the things that you need in life. Food, gas, shelter, etc. All of those things cost a lot of money. Right now, all of those things still cost a lot of money. And also, I feel like it's just expensive to just be alive. Like, I feel like my life as soon as I wake up is literally just me putting down a credit card, and it's just a tab. And life is a bartender. And it's just like, what are you going to have? And I'm just like, I'm okay. I don't really need anything today. And it's just like, oh, really? Well, if you're going to be here, you're going to need to spend money. And I'm just like, what do you mean here? I'm just in the world. And it's just like, yeah, you have to buy something now. It's even getting to the point where, like, I feel like even my thoughts are getting expensive, you know? Like I could just have the thought of like, my nose is a little stuffy. And then all of a sudden I open up my phone 10 minutes later and have 12 ads for like, oh, you have a pollen allergy and you got to buy these anti-pollen allergy pills or you're going to suffocate in your sleep. Sleep is the only place I still feel kind of safe. But even there, it's like I could have sleep problems for one night and then I wake up feeling kind of groggy and all of a sudden I'm getting targeted ads for melatonin gummies. It's like all of our necessities are still expensive, and then also just every increment of our life costs something.
And I felt him on this one word. Can't afford to just live. Literally, once you're getting of age of 18, sometimes even 16, it depends when you move out and it's just on your own. You got to pay all these bills just to live. If you want to live in the oceans, you got to pay for that. You got to live in a restaurant, you're going to have to pay for that. If you want to live, on the streets, you got to pay for that. Just saying.
The millennials and Gen Zers who are complaining that they can't buy a house are not working for minimum wage. These are people making $60, $70, $80, $90,000 a year who can no longer afford a house. But minimum wage workers are also complaining because they can't afford rent. If you look back to 1980, the rent was $243. Minimum wage was $3.10, meaning your monthly gross was $496. So to rent this apartment, it would be 48.9% of your gross income back in 1980. But let's fast forward to 2024. The average rent is $17.47. The federal minimum wage is $7.25, giving you $11.60. You can't even get an apartment with the federal minimum wage. But let's be generous and double the federal minimum wage because people at Walmart and fast food joints are making $14.50 to $15. So $14.50 would bring you to $23.20. So technically you're making more, but this is your gross, and it'd be 75% of your gross income, making double the federal minimum wage in 2024.
See, from watching that's crazy prices. It doesn't look too dramatic, but when you really get into it and look at the very low to the very high, those numbers get even wilder. So just from seeing that, let's see more.
But let's take it even a step further. ZipRecruiter said that the starting pay for college graduates is $24 an hour. So that would be $38.40 a month. So someone with a bachelor's degree could afford this one-bedroom apartment, but it would be 45.4% of their gross income. A college graduate is spending the same amount of their income on rent as the minimum wage worker in 1980 did. Roughly the same. And the minimum wage worker in 1980 put on a hat, learned skills for 2 weeks, and started their job. A bachelor's degree spent 4, 5, 6 years of their life in school and $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and now have to spend the same amount of money on rent as a minimum wage worker did in 1980.
All right then, community. This is a video basically talking about, how rent is just a lot of money. Like for this space, I'm getting a good deal. Yeah. No, actually that, or an extra finger, but that much for this space is pretty nice for me. Like, it holds everything that I need. But you try to go to the apartments, man, let me just show you. Don't forget though, man, like and subscribe so we can go up in the algorithm, and comment down below what's your rent costing right now. Thanks.
So I just got home from touring an apartment. And this whole drive home, I have been stewing with anger because between the time I signed up for that tour a week ago and the time I got there to do the tour today, the price of the unit I was interested in has gone up by $300. $300 in a week. And I no longer qualify for the unit at all because it went up by $300 in a week. And they were talking about, well, the supply and the demand. The supply and the demand. That's why it went up. They skyrocketed over the last week because of the supply and the demand. What are these landlords going to do? These property management companies, because it's not even necessarily like individual landlords, it's these property management companies. What are they going to do when nobody can afford to live in their apartment complexes? What are they going to do when nobody can afford to live in their building? Because this place is also requiring 3 times the rent in income. I have a degree and a salaried job, and I don't make that. There's no reason why any person with a college degree and a salaried job should not be able to qualify for like a basic apartment, any basic apartment. And I'm going to tell you something. I work in housing, okay? I work at a nonprofit that houses homeless families. I work with homeless families with children. And every single day, I see the consequences of this. I have a client that brings in $4,000 a month and is homeless. They bring in $4,000 a month through their job and they are homeless because of the price of these apartments, because of the income requirements. I see every day these people going to look at apartments, applying for apartments, and getting priced out by the time they can fill out the application, priced out between the time they tour the apartment and apply, priced out between the time they see the apartment and when they apply, and sometimes it's one day and they're priced out.
And just to end it off, man, that just tells you, literally, this state is going through a thing where everything in the economy is going up. Just because everything seems like it's going to be a change, just because we got a new election and a new president, doesn't mean anything prices-wise is going downhill. And I'll be surprised, mark my words, but everything's going up.
Some of these people have evictions. I don't give a fuck what you think about evictions. You can have an eviction from 6 years ago. Good fucking luck. You're homeless. You're homeless because you got evicted once 6 years ago because you lost your job. I see people dealing with the consequences of unfair and illegal evictions. People who are homeless because they were a stay-at-home mom and their husband died. And some of these people have income. Like I said, I have a client that brings in $4,000 a month and can't afford to live anywhere. And what are these places going to do when no one can afford to live there anymore? And all of these people who would say that this is fair, the landlords should be able to make a profit off of housing, right? That's a whole different, don't even get me started on for-profit housing. But all of the people that would say this is fair, the landlords should be able to make a profit. All these people that are bringing in money and can't afford to live, that's their own problem. We should just throw them to the wolves. We shouldn't be giving them any money. On my way to that apartment tour, by the way, I drove past a cop kicking a homeless man off the corner. Like he had anywhere else to go. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell those people something. Those people who are anti-spending money on homeless people.
That's what I'm saying, literally. There's nowhere to go. If you can't afford it, where are you supposed to go? You're supposed to go in the worst spots where you're unsafe? Let's see, though, man.
Every time I think about or trying to move out my parents' house, the cost of living just get higher and higher. Like, insurance goes up, gas goes up, not to mention the fact that you got to make 3 times the rent of wherever you live at, which is kind of insane because the average person my age ain't even making what I'm making. Not to mention the fact that I check my pay stubs all the time. I'm not making as nearly as what I would make if they ain't take all them fucking taxes out of my checks every 2 weeks. Like, and I just been sitting here thinking, like, cause with me personally, when I moved out, I always wanted to move out by myself or with a significant other. And now I'm starting to realize when people move out, they get roommates. Or they move in college apartments with other people that they don't even fucking know of because the cost of living is too fucking high. How can I get a house these days. Like, how can I get a house, bro? The average house is like 300 bands, you know what I'm saying? And like the average like monthly cost of it is like $2,500 a month. Like that's crazy. Like, and me personally, I never agreed with having to have more than one source of income. In my opinion, you having more than one source of income should be a choice. It shouldn't be, I shouldn't need two sources of income to fucking survive. I'm 23, bruh. God damn. I am fucking 23. And I'm already like having a midlife crisis for real. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to move out my parents' crib, but I ain't trying to live check to fucking check. Like, I'm sitting here making more money than I ever made ever in my life in a year span. And it's still not enough for me to fucking move out and be able to fucking sustain a living. Like, we're doomed, bro. And they wait until we get grown to do shit like this. Like, yeah, it's over with, bro. It's over with.
And he is not lying. Just from that point, he was saying where you gotta live, you gotta be making 3 times the money. 3 times, not 2, not 1. 3 times the money that you gotta pay. If it costs you $2,500 for a single bedroom, you gotta make 3 times that money just to live. $7,500 you gotta have. No one's making that monthly. So it just tells you how this world is coming to. Like, they're just making us die off quicker and quicker. But don't forget to like and subscribe though, man, so we can go up in the algorithm. Thanks for watching.
I don't think there's anything wrong with adults living with their parents.
I don't think people understand. Right now, the average amount of money you have to make in order to live by yourself is $60,000 a year, meaning you have to get paid $30 an hour. Come here. And that is just to cover rent. That's not including furniture. That's not including other bills. That's not including car issues, right? If you were to put all that together, you'd have to make about $75,000 a year, meaning you have to get paid over $35 or $40 an hour. So if you know somebody that is making you feel bad because you live at home with their parents, unless they are making $40 an hour at their job, they're definitely lying to you about their living situation. They either live in a closet or they have 4 roommates. There's nothing wrong with staying with your parents right now, because at this moment in time, the new generation, they can't save any money. The only thing going up is the cost of things, not the actual payment towards their lives.
Not gonna lie, he's speaking facts. Like, I moved out 2 times for a good amount of time. At least one was half a year about, and the other was about a year and so. Neither parties worked out for me. And it just tells you, man, this life is not that simple. And I hope y'all just stay strong, though. Don't give up faith and appreciate your family, because that's what I appreciate. I'm able to still see my family, not stress over a job that's not my family, and live life to the best of my needs. Y'all be safe, though, man.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living?
We're not. Truth of the matter, most of us are living paycheck to paycheck with credit card debt. I know people who are legitimately putting gas and groceries on credit cards just so that they can get back and forth to work. I believe that this is what most people are now calling the silent depression. $100 has become the new $20, and it's ridiculous, but the best thing about it is that people have shifted their core values. Look at this app alone and all the videos of all the retailers on Black Friday that nobody was there. They just don't care anymore. People are realizing that if it doesn't bring value into my life, then I don't need it. And while I don't get political on this app, you're having people on both sides of the aisles going, yeah, this kind of sucks. Right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. It's the same bird. And now so many Americans are going, I truly just, I don't care. I think it's woken a lot of people up to the idea of why are we funding things that we don't care about when all of us right here are struggling. It's changed people's attitude in the workforce to where a job is just a job. You used to be very loyal to a job, but they've seen that there's no employee loyalty because there's no employer loyalty. People aren't putting up with toxic bosses anymore. You're either going to treat me right or I'm going to leave, because there's tons of companies that are hiring because nobody can find help. People just don't trust the system anymore, and they're starting to focus on what matters the most. Most people are out here making more money than they ever have and realizing that it's not going anywhere, so they're just not spending it. And what has made a lot of people turn their back on the system is that now they somehow either make too much or not enough money to qualify for the government assistance that they've been paying into their entire life. There are people out there who can't afford to buy the groceries, but they make too much money to get the food stamps. A lot of people are out here calling it the depression. I like to call it the awakening. People are just realizing how much they can get done on their own and that they don't need the government to hold their hand. So to go back to your question, how are people making it? Financially, I don't really know, but I'm very grateful that people are starting to look for answers.
And just to end it off, man, this is just videos to promote, knowledge, show, a lot of us is living real life, and we always watch videos for entertainment, but why not gain knowledge from this video? Comment to each other, tell each other how we could get through this so we could grow together. That's all this is all about. And I appreciate everyone that comments down below, and any information you need to know, let me know. Also, like and subscribe so we could go up in the algorithm. Thanks for watching.